Tonight, I'm going to be covering a major update in the Israel-Gaza-Iran war and other U.S. news, including some of the funniest comedy I've seen in a long time at the New York Al Smith charity dinner. Donald Trump was on fire, and Kamala Harris came across as a dumpster fire. So we're going to go through all of that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know where you are watching from tonight and give this video a like. Let me start off by blowing your mind the same way that CNN is having their mind blown about former President Donald Trump.
I think there are a lot of folks such as myself who think that Donald Trump's unpopularity is baked in. But here's the deal. If you believe that Donald Trump has somehow become less popular over time, let me change your mind about that. In fact, he is more popular at this point in the campaign than he was at this point in the 2020 campaign or the 2016 campaign. Look, he's still underwater, right, with a negative 9-point net favorability rating, but that is higher than he was in 2020 at minus 12 points when he nearly won, and it is way higher than the minus 27 net favorability back in 2016 when he did win. So I think there's this real question in Kamala Harris's mind, in the campaign's mind, why is Trump more popular now than he was at this point in 2020 and 2016? And I think that is why you're seeing the sharpening attacks, because they want to put him back down to here, or even there's no way that they're necessarily going to back down to here, but they want to make Trump more unpopular than he is right now, because he's more popular now than either point in 2020 or 2016. So I think.
All right. So Donald Trump is more popular than he has ever been. And the people at CNN that don't like him are like, what is going on? How is this even possible? He's the orchestrator of the January 6th attack. The truth is, Donald Trump is surging right now. All momentum is going towards him. And it did not help that Kamala Harris offended 22% of Americans by snubbing the Al Smith dinner last night. I'm going to go through two major updates. One in Israel and then one here in the United States. Hey, thanks everybody. Boise, Idaho, Utah, Indiana, Michigan, South Dakota, West Texas, Ohio. Thank you guys so much for joining me and supporting the channel. Why do you think, in one word, why do you think Donald Trump is becoming more popular than ever? He's had an 18-point increase, while Kamala Harris has seen almost the same number of points decrease. She is the most unpopular vice president in our lifetime, and they thought that they could run her and win. Let me know in one word, and I'll go ahead and jump into the rest of this update. One of the most significant moments in the Israel-Iran conflict has unfolded. Yahya Sinwar, the leader of Hamas, is officially dead. This news surfaced a few days ago. Details about the circumstances, however, are just now becoming clear. According to the Israeli Defense Force, Sinwar's death was incidental. They had no prior knowledge that he was in the Hamas-occupied complex they were targeting. Israeli Army radio correspondent Doron Kadosh reported that the IDF initially became suspicious of the building when they observed several Hamas operatives moving between houses in a manner that suggested an imminent escape. Now, in response, the IDF deployed tanks to fire at the building where Hamas members were hiding. Unbeknownst to them, one of the buildings contained Sinwar, the mastermind behind the October 7th attack. So this is like getting Osama bin Laden for them. Now, drone footage shows Sinwar injured on the second floor of the building, holding a weapon in one hand and bleeding with the other. Well, he tried to throw the weapon at the drone. After attempting to throw his weapon and missing, he was then hit by a tank round. Like I said to you guys yesterday, he was definitely dead. Now, the major victory for Israel took place in Rafah, a city in Gaza where the Biden administration, including Kamala Harris, demanded Israel not go. So the very place that they were trying to block Israel from attacking is where the top leader of Hamas was hiding. Now, if not for Israel's thorough coverage of the area, in Gaza, Sinwar would likely have escaped. Rumor has it he was trying to sneak into Egypt. Both Biden and Harris were supportive of the announcement. They also claim that this victory should mark the end of the war. However, during a call with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, President Biden stated, "Now is the time to move towards a ceasefire in Gaza. Make sure that we move in a direction that we're going to be in a position to make things better for the whole world." Now, even though Biden and Harris have claimed Sinwar's death should make it easier to achieve a ceasefire and return hostages, I'm not convinced. Israel has now killed more major Hezbollah leaders than ever, and they just get replaced. And so what's going to have to happen? Israel is going to have to keep a full court press on their enemies. Now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu hinted at this, claiming the war is still not over. He stated, "To the Hamas terrorists, I say, your leaders are fleeing and they will be eliminated. Hamas will no longer rule Gaza. This is the beginning of the day after Hamas, and this is an opportunity for you, the residents of Gaza, to finally break free from tyranny." So you have Biden calling for peace, and you have Netanyahu saying, "Gaza, let us do our job and wipe out Hamas, and you can start over with good leaders." We will see what ends up officially happening. Now, Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson defended Benjamin Netanyahu's decision, claiming that Iran is still a real threat. A new Twitter post from Mike Johnson stated, "The Biden-Harris administration must now work in tandem with Israel to apply maximum pressure against the head of the snake, Iran. So while eliminating the leader of Hamas is a big step in the right direction, they still have Iran to deal with." Now, speaking of lawmakers, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell has attempted to walk back previous negative comments about Donald Trump. According to McConnell's biography, which was written by Michael Tackett, the senator claimed Trump was stupid, ill-tempered, and a despicable human being after the 2020 election. Now, in defense of these comments, Mitch McConnell stated, "Whatever I may have said about President Trump pales in comparison to J.D. Vance, Lindsey Graham, and others, but we are now all on the same team." Now, let me know in the comments, please. Do you think this is McConnell realizing that January 6th was not what he was originally told? Do you think that this is Mitch McConnell trying to survive another day in Washington, D.C.? Or does Mitch McConnell truly see Donald Trump winning and making America great again? Now, I know one of the reasons that Mitch McConnell had such bad feelings towards Donald Trump is Mitch McConnell's wife was in the Capitol and he feared for her life. And so it put a big wedge between McConnell and Donald Trump. But they have gotten over that. And so now he's trying to walk back those comments. The ratings of the Kamala Harris interview with Fox News host Brett Baier are out, and it looks like about 7 million people tuned in, but about 100 million people went to the internet to watch the replays and the reaction clips of her making a fool of herself. I personally am happy to say that I was part of that and wanted to expose the fact that she did so terribly. She has no policies. Anyone that is voting for her is really just voting against Donald Trump. Let's be honest. She brings nothing to the table. No military experience, no economic experience, no real world business experience. She has sucked on the teats of the taxpayer her entire career. So I don't believe that she is a great leader. Now, there was some serious drama over in the Kamala Harris election campaign. Major drama within the Kamala Harris campaign this morning. A source reveals that Harris screamed at and angrily berated her campaign manager, Julie Chavez, for over 30 minutes on the phone. The source shares that Chavez advised Kamala not to attend the Catholic Al Smith dinner because it would send the wrong message and risk alienating the LGBTQ2SI plus community, Muslims, and pro-abortion voters that hate Catholics. Now, this is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard of. Like, how many transgender people are there compared to Catholics in America? It's like a huge discrepancy. So she ends up leaning into the LGBTQ TSIA community and snubbing the Catholic community. Now, Chavez suggested, why don't we instead make a video? We'll just send it in because you're not going to be able to have a teleprompter. You're going to have to give an actual speech. Well, that video was poorly received, and she was mocked by Jim Gaffigan, by the Cardinal, by Donald Trump and others for not showing up. This is something that every presidential candidate shows up to. Even when Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton were bashing their heads together all day long on the internet, they still showed up, made some funny jokes against each other, and raised tens of millions of dollars for children. But Kamala, she couldn't do that. And the last time someone didn't show up, they lost all 49 states. Now, that's not likely to happen, but it doesn't look good, her not showing up. Now, I guess it was billionaire Mark Cuban's idea to do an SNL-like sketch that made fun of Catholics. Well, guess what? Most of them, they didn't find it funny, right? They didn't find it funny at all. And so Mark Cuban's advice completely backfired. Now, Chavez, the campaign manager for Kamala Harris, apparently was in tears during the phone call as Kamala shred her to pieces, calling her an idiot, telling her that she was inept, that she was horrible at her effing job, and told her that her stupid advice is the reason that she is going to lose. Wow. Isn't Kamala Harris's campaign theme about joy? I guess all the joy was gone as Kamala Harris crashes and burns while giving the middle finger to 22% of Americans who call themselves Catholic Christians. Now, during this same popular Catholic charity dinner in New York, Donald Trump spoke for 30 minutes. Kamala's was barely 5 minutes. 30 minutes of pure comedy gold. Now, type Y over in the comments if you watched it. The Jim Gaffigan was hilarious. Donald Trump was hilarious. I mean, he was roasting people. And he said, you know, this is really hard to do because half of you hate my guts and the other half of you love me. So I watched the whole thing. My wife and I, we were laying in bed watching it till 1 a.m. We were dying. Oh my gosh. When Jim Gaffigan said there are voters that are still undecided that will secretly be voting for Trump, and it's mostly the Biden family. Oh my gosh. I died. Maybe it's because it was 1 a.m, but I was literally giggling in bed because it was so funny. Now, I'm going to show you a few things. And honestly, Jim Gaffigan is somebody that I think is very funny. At the same time, I acknowledge the fact that he has Trump derangement syndrome. He went on the Joe Rogan podcast, and you could just see his brain was like smoking because he hates Donald Trump so much. But guess what? He was very fair to Donald Trump. He shook his hand multiple times. His wife was dying at Donald Trump's jokes. And who knows? Maybe he'll get canceled because of that. But I think he did a great job of being very fair. But listen to what he had to say about Kamala Harris not being there.
Democrats have been telling us Trump's reelection is a threat to democracy. In fact, they were so concerned of this threat, they staged a coup, ousted their democratically elected incumbent, and installed Kamala Harris. In other words, all her dreams have come true. Really? It really makes you consider the power of prayer, right, Cardinal? Sometimes prayers take 3.5 years and a George Clooney op-ed. Yeah.
All right, now, Jim Gaffigan was very, very funny. He said, you know, I'm devoutly Catholic because my wife told me to be. Very funny. Now, look over here underneath the stars. That is Leticia James. Leticia James was clapping for Donald Trump and laughing at his jokes. So it was a good night. It reminded me that people can come together and have a good laugh. Now, Donald Trump took many opportunities to roast Kamala Harris, but let's listen to just one of them together.
Fact is, we need new leadership in this country. Right now, we have someone in the White House who can barely talk, barely put together 2 coherent sentences, who seems to have mental faculties of a child, it's sad. Is a person that has nothing going, no intelligence whatsoever, but enough about Kamala Harris. Let's get on to something else. The fact.
All right, now, people thought that he was setting up to roast Biden, which he did. He said, you know, Joe Biden is so mad at Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi. He then said, but you all know it was Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer's the one that got Joe Biden thrown out of office. He also said, you know, I haven't seen a lot of Joe Biden lately. The only way to see less of Joe Biden is if he got a job at CNN. I mean, Trump was on a tear. He was very, very funny. Now, in response to VP Kamala Harris declining to join the event physically, Trump stated, if you really wanted Vice President Harris to accept your invitation, I guess you should have told her the funds were going to bail out the looters and rioters in Minneapolis, and she would have been there. Now, interestingly enough, this event was attended by people from both parties. While they may not agree politically, they did raise over $10 million for Catholic charities to support children in need and education. All right, maybe we watch just a few more together. By the way, for those of you who watched, oh my gosh, Kupamala, that's funny. So those of you that watched, you could probably feel the contempt for Kamala Harris. I mean, the Democrats in the room, you could tell they're even mad that she's losing. They're mad that she is their main candidate. They hate her laugh. They hate her dumb answers. They hate themselves for putting her up as the person to beat Donald Trump. I mean, you could see it. They are mad. Now, Jim Gaffigan is a longtime Democrat. He lives in New York City. He's raising his children to be blue-blooded, ultra-liberal Democrats. And he is mad at Kamala Harris. I mean, imagine how mad Barack Obama is. Barack Obama told the Democrat Party, do not put her up as the candidate. She will lose. And then after a week of pressure, he finally backed Kamala and said, actually, you know what? She's the best thing. She is going to win. It's all lies. They know it's lies. Just look at the Ethel Kennedy funeral where Joe Biden is apologizing to Obama. I'm sorry. She's not as strong as me. And Obama's like, I know. It's okay. We still have time. No, you don't. You're running out of time. And all of the major polling and the betting websites, they're all leaning in favor of Donald Trump. All right, let's watch just 5 of Trump's best moments because they were just so great. I should actually come back and watch the whole thing with you guys. It was so funny.
I used to think the Democrats were crazy for saying that men have periods, but then I met Tim Walz. Well, I'd better wrap up because Mayor Adams told me earlier that I needed to make this one very quick, especially the city has reserved this room for a large group of illegal aliens coming in from Texas. There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris? Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me. A major issue in this race is child care, and Kamala has put forward a concept of a plan. A lot of people don't like it. The only piece of advice I would have for her in the event that she wins would be not to let her husband, Doug, anywhere near the nannies. Just keep him away. That's a nasty one. Chuck Schumer is here looking very glum. Doesn't he look glum? He looks glum. But look on the bright side, Chuck, considering how woke your party has become. If Kamala loses, you still have a chance to become the first woman president.
I'm telling you, it was 30 minutes of comedy gold. And the Jim Gaffigan first 20 minutes was also very hilarious. Now, I want to touch on one point. Trump's joke where he said, oh, that was a nasty one, right? Kamala has a child care idea, but my best advice is to keep your husband away from the nanny, right? Now, I just want to point out, even comedian Bill Maher is like, wait a minute, why are we not talking about Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff? We know there is evidence that he slept with the babysitter. He impregnated the nanny. That's why Trump made that joke. We also know that he beat his past girlfriends. In fact, he slapped one of them so hard in front of witnesses that she spun around. So why is Kamala Harris and her husband getting a pass on this issue? Bill Maher is raising it. Other Democrats are saying, wait a minute, if this was Donald Trump, this would be a major headline, but it's not. And that is very concerning, right? The other thing that I learned last night was Donald Trump was the first person to give money to a new politician by the name of Chuck Schumer. And you could see Chuck Schumer, he was trying so hard not to laugh, but Trump was very, very funny. So hopefully you liked that. Now, one thing that Trump did that I've talked to a couple of people about today is Trump said right there publicly, knowing that this would be seen by 100 million people, he told Mayor Eric Adams and Governor Kathy Hochul that when he wins the presidency, that he will work with them hand in hand to make New York great again. He said, I love this city. We have our differences. I will put those to the side and I will work with you. I've been told by so many different people that the Trump that the media portrays is not the Donald Trump that we see. That he is funny, he loves music, he loves golf. He is very, very charitable. Did you know that it surfaced this week that he chartered a private plane to get Nelson Mandela flown out of Africa to the United States for his safety? He's done so many incredible things, paid off people's houses, written letters to children that are dealing with terminal cancer and different things. So I just thought that was really neat that he tells the mayor and the governor of New York, when I win, I'm going to work with you to make New York great again. All right, now listen to this. Earlier today, U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan, unsealed 2,000 pages of evidence from special counsel Jack Smith. Now, this case is dead. It's not going anywhere. So what they are doing is they are trying to embarrass Donald Trump. They are trying to interfere in the upcoming election. This is election interference. Let's be very clear about that. So this is information that was sealed in a court case that's not moving forward. And what happens? The judge in Washington, D.C. releases all of the sealed pages to try to influence the election and humiliate Donald Trump. This is an embarrassment to the legal system. This judge should be reviewed. Let me know over in the comments. Do you think that that was inappropriate for her to do? I do. This is nobody cares about January 6th anymore. Honestly, we know the truth now. Nobody cares. So her doing this is an attempt to look good to the Democrat base, one of whom she is. It was also to try to influence the election for people that are maybe independent or undecided. Either way, if I was in the middle of a court case and an angry judge released sealed documents to ruin my court case or shame or humiliate me, I would be very, very mad. So anyway, I was very, very disappointed to read that one. And I cannot believe that they allowed that. All right. How's everybody doing? It's Friday evening. I want to say thank you guys so much for joining me. Let's see. Trump tells Muslim voters we're going to get peace in the Middle East. You know, he supports Israel, but he doesn't like death. So he wants this war to end. My guess is he's going to be working with Benjamin Netanyahu to get this thing wrapped up. All right. One final thing. Trump plans to deliver remarks on Monday in Asheville, North Carolina. He is trying to bring attention to those who are still struggling because Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, the federal government, FEMA, DHS, Alejandro Mayorkas, they're not doing enough to help our brothers and sisters in North Carolina. And so he's angry about that. So he's going to Asheville, North Carolina to speak and bring awareness to the situation. I think he's going to win North Carolina. The first county just came in and Trump is already up 33 points in early voting. So anyway, things are going in our favor. I'm excited about that. Hey, thank you guys so much. If you wouldn't mind, there's 15,000 of you. Give this video a like. When you hit like, it tells YouTube, hey, share this with other people. I would really appreciate that. Also, hit that subscribe button. We're almost to 1.8 million amazing truth seekers on YouTube, and we just surpassed 46,000 over on Rumble. Hey, I love you guys. Have a great weekend, and I will see you on the next video, which will most likely be tomorrow.